2, 1, finish line. Go.
Welcome back to Capital OTV's The Inside Track from the Horseshoe Bar and Grill across the street from the Nelson Avenue Gate at Saratoga. We're joined now by this morning's third special guest. Welcome, trainer Bruce Levine. Good morning, Bruce. Welcome.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
It's good to have you here. You have been obviously a favorite trainer around here in the Capital District area for a number of years. You've trained for a number of local people, so they've had the chance to follow your career, and obviously it has been a very successful career. Tell us a little bit, obviously you trained for Roddy Valenti, as John indicated. Tell us a little bit about, just the barn, your overview, what kind of horses you mainly have, and what your plans are.
Right now, backbone of my outfit's mostly Claymers and New York Reds. I've got a couple open 2-year-olds, but most of them are claiming horses in New York Reds.
And obviously the New York Bred program, we've had a number of people on over the course of the last couple of months, the last couple of weeks that are involved in the New York Bred program. The purses are good, the quality is good, but unfortunately getting a little bit tougher because from the trainer's point of view, you want to get your horses in the cheapest company you can, the easiest company you can get.
Yeah, right now, even buying like the New York Bred yearlings, you're paying a premium because the purses went up so high. So that's, it's making it tougher, and I think that's what's making the claiming game, especially up here, it's very active. I mean, you're claiming a lot of horses, and it's, you claim and you get to even run back at the meet where you buy a yearling and you got to wait until hopefully they can run here next year. So, I mean, that's what's making the claiming game very live, the big purses.
Yeah, we've had some crazy stories about 10-way shakes and lots of people interested in claiming the same horse now. You got claimed the other day when you won?
Yeah, there was only 2 in for that, but I think I ran one there was 9 in for.
Okay.
So, there's plenty of money out there.
And he was a game winner. Boy, Rosario, very hard to pass on the stretch. I mean, he's almost like pink eye strong, turning for home, and he battled every step of the way. That was an exciting race.
She's a gritty filly. She's been hooked actually the last 3 races. I mean, she's almost been headed in 2 of them, and she just battles back. I mean, she's just a gutsy horse.
Now, Roddy was dressed to the nines for that race, so he must have been pretty confident going in there.
I thought we had a good shot, but I mean, we were a pretty good side. We were even money, so I mean, we were in the right spot.
Roddy was all dressed up, and he had half the clubhouse in the winter.
Second with him, yeah.
That was great.
The photographer was rooting for him.
Oh, that's right. Partnerships, Roddy. That's what they all want. 20 pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Now, speaking of partnerships, Dick brought it up. You've got a number of horses for local people, particularly through Parting Glass, which of course has been a sponsor of some of our programs. Tell us a little bit the difference between training for, one guy who brings you some horses versus.
The Parting Glass and that particular partnership, I really just deal with Tommy Gallo, so it's really pretty easy. I mean, a lot of people up here show up at the barn, and they're really nice. I mean, they feed the horses to death with carrots and Dunkin' Donuts, but they really like it. I mean, this is really, they come here. Down in the city, a few people come, and even a handful to the races, but up here, it's a treat for them. They're mostly local people, and, they're just, most of them are a little bit on the green side, and they're learning, and they really enjoy it, though.
And it's obviously got to be a little bit different too when you're putting on the show in front of a packed house almost every single day. You can go to Belmont and, if you've got 10,000 people at Belmont for a big race day, it still feels kind of vacant here. It's always crowded. Tell us a little about the difference between running here versus there.
It's just much more exciting. I mean, it's like playing a basketball game with nobody in the arena or Madison Square Garden. It's just, you feel the electricity, and, winning up here is special. It's hard to win, but, it's special. There's no doubt about it.
And you've had success up here, obviously with the horse that won the other day that you lost, but you've had 3 wins. You're in good company, and a lot of trainers in that, in that range with, 2-3 wins, and a couple of others that hit the board. So looking forward to a couple more. You got a debut runner going this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm hoping the track stays dry. Kind of, I'm not crazy about running in the slop first time, but he's training well, and it's not an easy race. A couple of horses had races and ran well, so it's going to be a tough race, and see what happens.
And I could take a moment here to flip the pages and find it. I believe it's the 5th race.
No, I think it's
the 7th race. Yes, yeah. It is the 7th race. We're talking about the 5th with Dave, and it's a New York bred maiden special weight. And you've got Shot Rock, who's in here for Roddy, an offspring of your Grade 1 winning Boston Stones.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see there. You know, he wants to be a little bit green. I'm going to run him in blinkers. He seems like he's better in blinkers. He worked good out of the gate in the blinkers. But, you know, a couple of hard races, and, you know, that's kind of big, having a race under your belt. So we'll just have to see what happens. You know, we'll see.
And you've got a couple of the Boston Stones in your barn in addition to this one?
Yeah, I got a handful of them, and we'll run a, you know, most of them are going to make, during the meet they'll run. So
we'll keep watching for them. And you mentioned going to the sales and buying young horses. You're going to be over at the New York bred sale, I presume.
Yeah, we'll be over there looking at pick up some yearlings.
Any in particular that you want to?
Nah, just
type of horse you're looking for.
Nah, just something that has decent pedigree and be useful.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
Now you train for Rowdy, but you also train for one of my favorite owners because he wears the Met colors,
yes.
Mike Rapoli. What's it like training for Mike? Do you get texts at 3 in the morning, or does he ever go to sleep?
Well, this is my second go-around with him, so the first go-around we'd have screaming matches, and then we kind of fell out and we kissed and made up, and I'm probably a little bit more mellow than he is now, but he's...
I would think everyone is pretty more mellow than Mike is.
He's very aggressive, hands-on, and he pays attention, and you know, he'd like to win the owner's title. That's what he's aiming for, so he's trying hard.
Now, when we as handicappers fans see these crazy drop-downs, which we've seen at the meet so far, oftentimes we think, well, a trainer's doing this, a trainer's doing that, but sometimes it might be the owner, it might be any number of factors. Makes it very hard to kind of gauge, is this a giveaway? Are they just trying to get rid of the race? Is the owner trying to win a race? Or it's been really hard for all of us, especially in the beginning of the meet, where we've had so many drop-downs, to kind of figure out why these horses are dropping in class.
Yeah, some of them are good and some of them are bad, but, you know, the claiming game's just kind of a big game of poker. You know, up here you're probably not going to get away with anything because there's just so many people claiming. When they're not as aggressive claiming, you probably can do a couple of these moves and get away with them, you know. But up here you're not going to get away with much. They basically they've taken just about every horse I've run for him in a claiming race has been claimed.
And when you're entering, I mean, are you looking at, if I run for 20, definitely going to lose him? If I run for 35, maybe keep him? Is that part of the equation? Or
I'm running for 20.
The purse level is so high for the 20.
I'm running for the 20.
20 is running for 40, so you're getting 24 if you win.
I'm running for the 20.
It's well worth it with the purses, and you know there's an awfully high chance you're going to get claimed. But if you're willing to willing to take that and go and shop for another one, whether it's across the street and for a young horse, or obviously back into the claiming game you go with with another one. Bruce, we got to take a brief commercial message. Can you stay over for one more segment with us?
Sure.
That'd be great. We'd certainly appreciate it. We'll pause for a brief message. When we return, more with trainer Bruce Levine.
Some people take analyzing a horse race to a whole other level. Tune in every morning at 11 a.m. and get up-to-the-minute analysis of the day's biggest races, breaking news from the racing industry, and our daily best bets, only on OTB TV.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Racing at the Meadowlands every Thursday through Saturday at 7 o'clock. For more, go to MeadowlandsRacetrack.com.
Hi race fans, I'm Seth Miro with some great news. Now you can get live streaming of all our tracks. Just log on to capitalotv.com, click on the live streaming link, and choose from more than 35 tracks from around the world. Plus, you can now get race replays, any day, any track. And don't forget to check out our new virtual tote board. In horse racing, information is key, and no one brings you the crucial information you need like capitalotv.com. Live streaming, race replays, and our new virtual tote board. capitalotv.com. Check it out now.
Some people take analyzing a horse race to a whole other level. Tune in every morning at 11 a.m. and get up-to-the-minute analysis of the day's biggest races, breaking news from the racing industry, and our daily best bets, only on OTB TV.
And welcome back to Capital OTB's The Inside Track. We are joined by Bruce Levine, trainer here at Saratoga. And during the break, we were talking a little bit about the claiming game, and obviously it's been one of the talks of the town up here, how active the claim box has been at Saratoga. And, I'm loath to ask any claiming trainers any of their secrets or anything like that. But obviously, things are a little bit different in the claiming game in New York. And one thing we mentioned, the claiming horses in New York now, very heavily laden with conditions, very few open. Does that play a part in how you are factoring in what you think about claiming and how you think about dropping horses?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a factor. It's almost the way it's set up today. The day you claim that horse, you almost want him to get beat. Because if he breaks through that condition, you're going to lose that purse. If you claim a 2-lifer and he doesn't win that condition, you could sit on him 30 days or raise him from 20 to 25 and get the 2-life. If he wins the 2-life and you got to go 3-life, then you almost, to be competitive, you almost have to drop him below the claim price to be competitive. And up here, 20 is the bottom, so you really, if you win that condition, you almost got to go maybe 3-life 15 at Belmont. It's hard to go up after you win that condition. It's almost like breaking, in the old days, a maiden.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to drop them in half to get competitive again. Well, it's almost the same thing. They're so grouped so close together now, it's almost that way.
Well, I read all of the conditions, the beaten conditions and so forth, where you've got 3 or 4 different you need to have a master's degree in order to read the condition book, figure out whether or not your horses are eligible for certain spots and what spots would be the most appropriate. A lot of times if you've got a young horse, maybe you got a 3-year-old, that you might be willing to take him in with his elders because he's got 5 wins career length. You can face non-winners of 2 lifetime older horses, that kind of thing. When you're reading the condition book and when you're looking at a horse to claim, that's obviously got to play into it.
Yeah, I mean, early in the year, it's almost like the older horse who has so much more seasoning and races. They get in those races that kind of beat up on the 3-year-olds. But he'll leave it with straight 3-year-olds through the spring, so it gives the 3-year-olds a shot before they got to take on, the horse that had 20, 25 races. The tough ones is when he puts the dated into it, because then you get a horse, even though he hasn't won a race in 6 months, he might have won 300,000 versus some 3-year-old that's won 30,000 and really has he just can't stand up to those horses. If it doesn't have the dated, it becomes a little bit more of a fairer race. That dated clause, though, you get some back class horse in there. He's tough. That's the horse I'll look at it, especially handicapping or betting on a race, is that one that hasn't won a race at 6 months that's older.
Yeah, those type of races are tough. I find that condition and they don't run it as often in New York, but they run it a lot of other venues where it's non-winners of a race since, non-winners of 2 races since, and that kind of thing. And you get horses that just keep waiting long enough. They'll wait a month in between and they keep coming back. They can keep coming back at the same condition.
That's true, because today, you give them 5 or 6 weeks off. So if you get close to your date, you're going to hold them back the extra 3 or 4 weeks, and so you can run in that non-winners of race in 6 months.
Yeah, it's a very different game, with the conditions.
You got to study that. Yeah, it's a lot more studying. Even when you get the extra races, you got to figure out your horses to the extra, in those conditions. Maiden special, any other than it's no big deal, but those different 2s and 3s and date races, they're a little trickier.
And obviously makes a big difference not only for you on the entry side, but the handicappers who are trying to come up with some kind of rational thought. And it is a little bit trickier once you get into conditions and figuring out how they fit. Boy, it was a lot easier, it seems, now when they had just you had a 20 claimer, a 30 claimer, 40 claimer.
Yeah, it was no conditions. So yeah.
Lots has changed in the game, but Bruce, thank you for joining us this morning. We certainly do appreciate it. A lot of insight into what goes on in the mind of a trainer who is looking to claim different horses at different levels here at Saratoga. We'll pause for a brief message. When we return, there'll be more of Capital OTB's The Inside Track.
What would another shot